Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Chase here at Rocky Mountain. Thank you so much for checking in with us, and welcome to our 2025 Dual Sport Adventure Boot Buyer's Guide. I have 7 boots that are up here on the table today. I'm going to talk about all of these pretty brief. Just going to cover some of the key differences between them and help you decide what type of boot might be best for you depending on your riding style and the riding that you plan to be doing on your bike. Maybe you're more into the off-roading, a little bit more aggressive, standing up on the foot pegs a lot, or maybe you like to do more highway miles and you're sitting down most of the time. Either way, when I get through all 7 up here, there will be a boot up here that is going to be just what you are looking for. But I would love your questions and your feedback. Comment down below if you have one of these. Which one do you have? What have you liked and disliked about it? And which boot do you plan to use next? That's going to help other riders out. Also, just don't take my word for it. Go read rider reviews. And like I said, watch the product spotlights to learn all about these. We know fit's very important, so that means we have a fit guarantee. No matter what boot you buy, if you don't like how it fits, you can send it back to us in brand new, unused condition. So try it on inside your house. You just make sure there's no hot spots. Everything's how you want it to be. But if you do need to exchange it for the same boot in a different size or a completely different boot, we'll give you free shipping both ways on that first exchange, so you get the boot that is the best fit for you. Okay, that being said, let's get through these boots up here. So the first 3 I have, the Forma Adventure, the MSR Adventure Boot, and the Alpinestars XT8 Gore Tex. These 3 options are going to be more geared towards the rider that is maybe a little bit more concerned with comfort for all-day rides and walking off the bike than they are about just all-out support and protection from more of a moto-style boot. If that's what you're after, these are great options. The Forma Adventure, like I said, it's been super popular. It comes in a couple colorways, brown and black. There's a low version of this, but the Adventure definitely has the most flexibility in the sole of all the boots up here. They have a nylon insert versus a steel shank. This thing honestly is like a hiking boot. Just a really tall hiking boot with buckles versus laces. And when you look at the sole, it's got the most aggressive lug sole like a hiking boot. So for a rider that wants a ton of comfort, because these are super comfortable, but when you're off the bike walking and you want that hiking boot feel, the Forma Adventure is going to be what you're after. Next up, you have the MSR Adventure. Now, like the Forma, we actually designed this boot right here at Rocky Mountain. Very comfortable. If you're wearing this thing all day long, you're going to be just fine. Now, there are a couple major differences from it and this Forma. So the first thing being is with the sole. The sole is stiffer. It has a steel shank than the Forma. So like us, if you watch the adventure rides that we go on, we do a lot of dirt and we're standing up on the bikes a lot. So we wanted a sole that's going to have enough support for that type of riding. That's why you have the steel shank. Another notable difference too with the MSR boot is that the sole, when you look at the profile, it's very flat. It doesn't have the raised heel. We wanted a really good interface with the foot pegs, and also too, right in the middle of the sole, you can see that design was intentional to give the best interface with the foot peg as possible. And it is a traditional stitched on sole. For some riders, that's a big selling factor. What's also nice about the MSR boot, full grain leather, you're right around $200 and full waterproof, so great price. Next up, you have the Alpinestars XT8. This is a new boot from Alpinestars. They only offer this in the mid-size. They don't have a tall version of this, but this one kind of splits as far as the stiffness of the sole. It's kind of splits the difference between the Forma and the MSR. So it's plenty stiff enough that you can stand up on the bike, but it is going to give you enough flex to walk around when you're off the bike as well. That's kind of what they designed it for. But what's nice about the XT8, because you do bump up quite a bit in price, you're going to be over $400 for this, but it is Gore Tex, so guaranteed to keep you dry, guaranteed for life. But now you have, for the first time, a hinge on the lateral side of the ankle. So it's just a 2-buckle design, but this hinge does give more lateral support to the ankle than the MSR or the Forma. So if you want a comfort boot, great for walking, that's just going to have a little bit more ankle support, this would be a great option. All right, next up, you have the Sidi Adventure 2 Gore Tex. Tried and true. This boot's been around for many, many years. It's been very popular. A rider here at Rocky Mountain has had the Adventure 2 Gore Tex for, I want to say, 5 seasons now, and they've held up amazing. That is one nice thing about Sidi and Gaerne is the durability. That's what riders have come to know about these 2 companies. But what's nice about the Adventure 2 Gore Tex is it kind of bridges the gap between these first 3 boots that we just talked about and more of a moto boot that we're going to get to next. If you kind of want the best of both worlds, the Adventure 2 Gore Tex is going to be, I think, the best option for you. The sole is about as stiff, right around like the MSR is, so it's a pretty stiff sole, so it's good for standing up on the pegs, but it's still going to flex enough to walk around. But now, when you look at this, you also have a pivot point on the lateral and the medial side, more like a moto boot, so you're going to have good lateral support for the ankle, good flexibility. They use microfiber and suede on this. Again, you've also got Gore Tex in the Adventure 2. And when you look at the sole, a little bit more of a traditional lug sole, so more like you could say a hiking boot versus a moto sole. But like I said, the rider that's had these now for many years, he said that this sole for him, he's had great durability with it, hasn't really had any issues. And for him, just all around, it's been a really good adventure riding boot. So again, kind of bridges the gap, not a full moto boot, but not quite as flexible as these others, but kind of falls right in the middle. Next up, we've got 3 moto boot options. I know there's a ton of riders out there, myself included. I just wrapped up a weekend adventure ride that we did down in Mesquite, Nevada, and we were doing 8 to 10 hour days on the bike. And I actually wore a full moto boot because for me, you know, when we're riding, like I said, aggressive riding, standing up a lot, and when you're on bigger adventure bikes, I just like the idea of having a little bit more ankle support and impact protection. So I like to wear a moto boot, especially if I'm not gonna be walking a whole bunch. And these are my top 3 choices right here. The first 2 is the Fox Motion X. So this has the Enduro sole and a waterproof liner on the inside. And you've got the Tech 7 Enduro Drystar. I get asked a lot, what are the most comfortable off-road motocross style boots? These are my 2 top choices, hands down. If you are looking for a moto boot that you can wear all day long, and these are just like any motocross boot, they're gonna be stiff, brand new, much stiffer than these, so they are gonna take a little bit of time to break in, but these 2 to me are just by hands down the 2 most comfortable options. But what's nice though is that they both have an Enduro sole for a little bit more grip when you're off the bike, and they both have a waterproof liner. Again, don't take my word for it, go read rider reviews. A couple differences between the 2 as far as the fit goes. What I do like is that Fox offers half sizes in the Motion, so if you're right between sizes, they've got you covered there. And with the Fox Motion, I feel like when I put this one on, it kind of locks the ankle in place just a little bit better. With the Tech 7, I tend to get what I call heel float, where my heel doesn't feel like it's locked into the bottom of the boot as well. But both are incredibly comfortable, and if you're looking for that, these are great. Last but not least, you have the Gaerne Fastback Enduro. So the Fastback is the mid-level boot, off-road boot that Gaerne sells. And a couple years ago, they realized, hey, there's a lot of adventure riders that just want a moto-style boot. So what they did is they took the Fastback, they put the Enduro sole on it, which is probably the least Enduro-ish sole of all these up here when you look at it compared to the others. But they put the Enduro sole on there, and then they just came out with this nice dark brown leather option, which I think a lot of dual sport adventure riders, they want that versus a flashy color design. And this boot, since it came out, has been very popular. The one thing I would point out is that comfort-wise, it's just not on the level of these first 2, and it's not waterproof. So if that's important to you, that is one thing that you would want to consider. Being that it is full grain leather, it takes a while for water to get in there. But again, if you want something with a waterproof liner, this probably wouldn't be the best choice. But again, when you look at it, hinge on the lateral and medial side, it's got the traditional stitched on sole. And when it comes to just outright durability, Gaerne and Sidi, you just can't beat it. These 2 companies are phenomenal. They're Italian companies. Their boots are made in Europe, and that's why people love these so much. So again, Fastback Enduro, I'm gonna say of all the moto options, the best durability that you are going to get. And that's it. That is our 2025 Dual Sport Adventure Boot Buyer's Guide. I was very brief today. Again, we're just pointing out some of the key reasons of why we put these up here in this guide. Hopefully you've seen one that's catching your attention, you wanna learn more about. So please, watch the product spotlights, leave your questions below, go read rider reviews. To shop these, click the link down below or head to RockyMountainATVMC.com. You know the deal, we ship for free over $75. And as always, to stay up to date on buyer's guides like this, because we have them for boots, jackets, helmets, pants, you name it. Go watch the other buyer's guides if you're shopping for other dual sport adventure gear. I'm Chase, and we'll see you on the trails.